Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello friend, I'm here once again to discuss body language. As you know that we are discussing interpersonal skills, we have discussed personal attributes also. Now communication. Now what is this body language? That is very important. We tend to take it for granted that what is this? We can speak as we like, but this is not the thing. When you are in a professional world, even in your personal life, you should take care of certain things that is related to your body language. Body language indicates your inner psychology, and people read very clearly your inner psychology looking at your body language. If we talk about the professional world, it stands more importantly. In business, business means the professional life, professionalism. The way you communicate can enhance or impair your interactions, relationships, and further opportunities in your company. Your body language, the unspoken language you portray in conversation, can make or break your business or your work in future. For this reason, it is imperative that you understand the effect and influence your body language has on your business interactions. Here are 4 areas of body languages that, if mastered, can influence your business communication for the better. Now there are certain questions I want to ask you. Did you know that people you are hoping to influence will be subliminally evaluating your credibility, confidence, empathy, and trustworthiness, and that their evaluation will be only partially determined by what you say? Further, did you know that your use of personal space, physical gesture, posture, facial expression, eye contact can enhance, support, weaken, or even sabotage your impact as a leader? These are very important questions to keep in mind, and visualize the effect of such questions I have just posed, what it is going to add to your professional career. Body language is a significant aspect of modern communications and relationship. It is very relevant to management and leadership, and to all aspects of work and business where communications can be seen and physically observed among people. Communication includes listening in terms of observable body language. Non-verbal, non-spoken signals are being exchanged, whether these signals are accompanied by spoken words or not. Body language goes both ways. Your own body language reveals your feelings and meanings to others, and other people's body language reveals their feelings and meanings to you. That is to say that when talking to somebody, your body or gesture and posture talks to the other person's body language or gesture and postures. How important it is. The sending and receiving of body language signals happen on conscious and unconscious level. The study of body language is also known as kinesics, pronounced kinesics, which is derived from the Greek word kinesis, meaning motion, meaning some kind of action. That is kinesics. And when we talk of body language, kinesics plays a vital role. Well, body language is a powerful concept which successful people tend to understand well, and so can you, because when we speak body language, it is just body language. That is not the thing. We should know the history, the origin, the importance, the journey of body language in one's life. The study and theory of body language has become popular in recent years because psychologists have been able to understand what we say through our bodily gestures and facial expressions, so as to translate our body language, revealing its underlying feelings and attitude. Now, body language is more than body positions and movement, and that is why I said that we tend to take body language for granted. It is not only body position and movement. Body language is not just about how we hold and move our bodies. Body language potentially, although not always, depending on the definition you choose to apply, encompasses how we position our bodies, our closeness to and the space between us and other people, that is proxemics, and how this changes our facial expressions. Well, proxemics, that is the space that shows intimacy, how close you are and how much distance you have to maintain, with whom, where and when, to make your discussion more fruitful. Our eyes especially, and how our eyes move and focus, how we touch ourselves and others. Touch is called haptic, and eyes, the movement of eyes as oculics. How our bodies connect with other non-bodily things, for instance, pen, cigarette, spectacle and clothing. Our breathing and other less noticeable physical effects, for example, our heartbeat and perspiration. Well, body language tends not to include the pace, pitch and intonation, volume, variation, poses, etc. And of course, our voice also. Arguably, this last point should be encompassed by body language because a lot happens here which can easily be missed if we consider merely the spoken word and the traditional narrow definition of body language or non-verbal communication. Voice type and other audible signals are typically not included in body language because they are audible verbal signals rather than physical visual ones. Nevertheless, the way the voice is used is a very significant, usually unconscious aspect of communication aside from the bare words themselves. Consequently, voice type is always important to consider alongside the usual body language factors. Similarly, breathing and heartbeat, etc., are typically excluded from many general descriptions of body language, but are certainly part of the range of non-verbal bodily actions and signals which contribute to body language in its fullest sense. More obviously, our eyes are vital aspect of our body language. Our reactions to other people's eyes movement, focus, expression and their reactions to our eyes contribute greatly to mutual assessment and understanding consciously and unconsciously. The human body and our instinct reactions have evolved to an amazingly clever degree, which many of us ignore or take for granted, and which we can all learn how to recognize more clearly if we try. Our interpretation of body language, notably eyes and facial expressions, is instinctive, and with a little thought and knowledge, we can significantly increase our conscious awareness of these signals, both the signals we transmit and the signals in others that we observe. Doing so gives us a significant advantage in life, professionally and personally, in our dealings with others. Body language is not just reading the signals in other people. It is very important. Importantly, understanding body language enables better self-awareness and self-control too. We understand more about other people's feelings and meanings, and we also understand more about the things in ourselves. When we understand body language, we become better able to refine and improve what our body says about us, which generates a positive improvement in the way we feel, the way we perform, and what we achieve. As explained, the term body language and non-verbal communications are rather vague. We generally think that non-verbal and body language are same, more or less same, some similarity, but it is not exactly the same. So what is body language, and more usually what might we regard it to be if we are to make the most of studying and using it? Now, the Oxford English Dictionary, the revised edition of 2005 definition is body language, that is noun, the conscious and unconscious movements and postures by which attitudes and feelings are communicated. For example, his intent was clearly expressed in his body language. The Oxford Business English Dictionary offers a slight different definition. Appropriately and interestingly, the Oxford Business English Dictionary emphasizes the sense that body language can be used as a tool rather than it being an involuntary effect with no particular purpose. Body language, the process of communicating what you are feeling or thinking by the way you place and move your body rather than by words. For example, the course trains salespeople in reading the customer's body language. Now, the Oxford English Dictionary definition of kinesics, the technical term for the study of body language, and more loosely of body language itself, depends on the interpretation of non-verbal communication. Kinesics, the study of the way in which certain body movements and gesture serve as a form of non-verbal communication, and body movements and gestures regarded as a form of non-verbal communication. Well, body language is more than those brief descriptions. Body language certainly also encompasses where the body is in relation to other bodies, often referred to as personal space. Body language certainly also include very small bodily movement such as facial expressions and eye movement. Body language also arguably covers all that we communicate through our bodies apart from the spoken words, thereby encompassing breathing, perspiration, pulse, blood pressure, blushing, etc. Well, in this respect, a standard dictionary definitions don't always describe body language fully and properly. We could define body language more fully, appropriately as body language is the unconscious and conscious transmission and interpretation of feelings, attitudes and moods through body posture, movement, physical state, position, and relationship to other bodies, objects, and surroundings. Facial expression and eye movement, and this transmission and interpretation can be quite different to the spoken words. Words alone, especially emotional words or words used in emotional situations, rarely reflect full or true meaning and motive. We find clues to additional or true meaning in body language. Being able to read body language therefore helps us greatly. How it helps us? To know how people feel and what they mean, and to understand better how people might be perceiving our own non-verbal signals and often overlooked. To understand ourselves better, deeper than the words we hear ourselves saying things. Well, this is the time that we should know the background and history of body language, because body language is a vast subject and it is not a very general kind of physical activity. Philosophers and scientists have connected human physical behavior with meaning, mood, personality for thousands of years. But only in living memory has the study of body language become as sophisticated and detailed as it is today. Body language studies and written works on the subjects are very sparse until the mid-1900s. The first known experts to consider aspects of body language were probably the ancient Greeks, notably Hippocrates and Aristotle, through their interest in human personality and behavior, and the Romans, notably Cicero, relating gesture to feelings and communications. Much of this early interest was in refining ideas about oration, speech making, given its significance to leadership and government. Isolated studies of body language appeared in more recent times. For example, Francis Bacon, in Advancement of Learning 1605, explored gestures as reflection or extension of spoken communication. John Bulwer's Natural History of the Hand, published in 1644, considered hand gestures. Gilbert Austin's Chronomia in 1806 looked at using gesture to improve speech making. Charles Darwin in the late 1800s could be regarded as the earliest expert to have made serious scientific observation about body language, but there seems little substantial development of ideas for at least the next 150 years. Darwin's work pioneered much ethological thinking. Ethology began as the science of animal behavior. It became properly established during the early 1900s and increasingly extends to human behaviors and social organization. Where ethology considers animal evolution and communications, it relates strongly to human body language. Ethologists have progressively applied their findings to human behavior, including body language, reflecting the evolutionary origin of much human nonverbal communication and society's growing acceptance of evolutionary rather than creationist theory. Austrian geologist and 1973 Nobel Prize winner Konrad Lorenz was a founding figure in ethology. Desmond Morris, author of The Naked Ape, discussed what is ethology, and he described it as the evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins, a leading modern thinker in the field. Ethology, like psychology, is an overarching science which continues to clarify the understanding of body language. The popular and accessible study of body language as we know it today is very recent. In his popular 1971 book Body Language, Julius Fast wrote, "Kinesics body language and its study is still so new as a science that its authorities can be counted on the fingers of one hand. Julius Fast was an American award-winning writer of fiction and non-fiction work dealing especially with physiology and behavior. His book Body Language was among the first to bring the subject to a mainstream audience. The exception among Fast's contemporary influences was Charles Darwin, and specifically his book The Expression of the Emotion in Man and Animals, written in 1872, which is commonly regarded as the beginnings of body language science, albeit not recognized as such then. Sigmund Freud and others in the field of psychoanalysis in the late 1800s and early 1900s would have had good awareness of many aspects of body language, including personal space, but they did not focus on non-verbal communications, concepts, or develop body language theories in their own right. Freud and similar psychoanalysts and psychologists of that time were focused on behavior and therapeutic analysis rather than the study of non-verbal communication per se. An important aspect of body language is facial expression, which is arguably one part of body language for which quite early scientific thinking can be traced. Physiogamy is an obscure and related concept to body language. Physiogamy refers to facial features and expressions which, where are said, indicate the person's character or nature or ethnic origin. The word physiognomy is derived from medieval Latin and earlier Greek, which originally meant the art or capability of judging a person's nature from his/her facial feature and expressions. The ancient roots of this concept demonstrate that while body language itself is a recently defined system of analysis, the notion of inferring human nature or character from facial expression is extremely old. Kinesics, as pronounced kinesics with stress on the E, is the modern technical word for body language and more scientifically the study of body language. The word kinesics was first used in English in this sense in the 1950s, deriving from the Greek word kinesis, meaning motion, and seems to have first been used by Dr. Ray Birdwhistell, an American 1950s researcher and writer on body language. The introduction of a new technical word, in this case kinesics, generally comes after the establishment of the subject it describes, which supports the assertion that the modern concept of body language encompassing facial expressions and personal space did not exist until the 1950s. Proxemics is the technical term for the personal space aspect of body language. The word was devised in the late 1950s or early 1960s by Edward Twitchell Hall, an American anthropologist. The word is Hall's adaptation of the word proximity, meaning closeness or nearness. Kinesthetic, also known as kinesthetics, the study of learning styles, is related to some of the principles of body language in terms of conveying meaning and information via physical movement and experience. Body language is among many branches of science and education which seek to interpret and exploit messages and meaning from the touchy-feely side of life. For example, the concepts of experiential learning, games, exercises, and love and spirituality at work are all different perspectives and attempts to unlock and develop people's potential using ideas central around kinesthetics as distinct from the more tangible and easily measurable areas of facts, figures, words, and logic. These and similar systems do not necessarily reference body language directly, but there are very strong interconnections. Bloom's taxonomy and Kopp's learning styles are also helpful perspectives in appreciating the significance of kinesthetic and therefore body language in life and work today. The communications concept of neuro-linguistic programming and transactional analysis are closely dependent on understanding body language, especially neuro-linguistic programming. Body language is a part of human evolution, but as with many other aspects of human behavior, the precise mixture of genetic, which is inherited, and environmental, learned or conditioned influences is not known and opinions vary. Effective leadership depends on the ability to inspire and positively impact people. In preparing for an important meeting with your staff, leadership team or clients, you concentrate on what to say, memorize crucial points and rehearse your presentation so that you will come across as credible and convincing. Here are 5 crucial things that every leader needs to know about body language. You make an impression in the less than 7 seconds. Now, in business interaction, the first impressions are crucial. 1. Someone mentally label you as trustworthy or suspicious, powerful or submissive. Everything else you do will be viewed through such a filter. If someone likes you, she'll look for the best in you. If she mistrusts you, she will suspect all of your actions. While you can't stop people from making snap decisions, the human brain is hardwired in this way as a survival mechanism. You can understand how to make those decisions work in your favor. First impressions are made in less than 7 seconds and more heavily influenced by your body language. In fact, studies have found that nonverbal cues have over 4 times the impact on the impression you make than anything you say. Well, here are few tips to keep in mind. Adjust your attitude. People pick up your attitude instantly. Before you greet a client or enter the conference room for a business meeting or step on stage to make a presentation, think about the situation and make a conscious choice about the attitude you want to embody. A smile. Smiling is a positive signal that is underused by leaders. A smile is an invitation, a sign of welcome and inclusion. It says, I'm friendly and approachable. Make eye contact. Looking at someone's eyes transmits energy and indicates interest and openness. To improve your eye contact, make a practice of noticing the eye color of everyone you meet. Lean in slightly. Leaning forward shows you are engaged and interested. But be respectful of the other person's space. That means in most business situations, stay about 2 feet away. Watch your posture. Research from Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University discovered that posture expansiveness, positioning oneself in a way that opens up the body and takes up a space, activated a sense of power that produced behavioral changes in a subject independent of their actual rank or role in an organization. In fact, it was consistently found across 3 studies that posture mattered more than hierarchy in making person think, act and be perceived in a more powerful way. Shake hand. This is the quickest way to establish rapport. It is always the most effective. Research shows it takes an average of 3 hours of continuous interaction to develop the same level of rapport that you can get with a single handshake. Just make sure you have palm to palm contact and that your grip is firm but not bone crushing. Now, building trust depends on your verbal non-verbal alignment. Trust is established through a perfect alignment between what is being said and the body language that accompanies it. If your gestures are not in full congruence with your verbal message, people subconsciously perceive duplicity, uncertainty, or internal conflict. Neuroscientists at Colgate University study the effects of gestures by using an electronograph machines to measure even related potentials, brain waves that form peaks and valleys. One of these valleys occurs when subjects are shown gesture that contradict what is spoken. Very true, and yes, this is a fact. This is the same brain wave dip that occurs when people listen to nonsensical language. So, in a very real way, whenever leaders say one thing and their gesture indicate another, they simply don't make sense. Whenever your body language doesn't match your words, for example, dropping eye contact and glancing around the room while trying to convey candor, rocking back on the heels when talking about the organization's solid future, or folding arms across chest while declaring openness, your verbal message is lost. Now, what you say when you talk with your hands? Have you ever noticed that when people are passionate about what they are saying, their gestures automatically become more animated? Their hands and arms move about, emphasizing points and conveying enthusiasm. You may not have been aware of these connections before, but you instinctively felt it. Research shows that audiences tend to view people who use a greater variety of gesture in a more favorable light. Studies also find that people who communicate through active gesturing tend to be evaluated as warm, agreeable, and energetic, while those who remain still or whose gestures seem mechanical or wooden are seen as logical, cold, and analytic. That is one reason why gestures are so critical to a leader's effectiveness and why getting them right in a presentation connects so powerfully with an audience. I have seen senior executives make rookie mistakes when leaders don't use gesture correctly. If they let their hands hang limply to the side or clasp their hands in front of their bodies in the classic fig leaf position, it suggests they have no emotional investment in the issues or are not convinced about the point they are trying to make. To use gesture effectively, leaders need to be aware of how those movements will most likely be perceived. Now, in the next lecture of mine, I'm going to explain the 4 common hand gesture that is going to support a very powerful message. Till then, thank you very much.